tomorrow, Tuesday. Pero yung explanation to follow na lang. Okay? So, ayan. Again, we are now on chapter 7, which will focus on benzene compounds and their derivatives. And in this lesson, hindi naman natin kailangan ng ideas from the lecture, so we can do it independently. So again, I'd like to inform everyone that puro memorization tayo dito ulit. Memorization, then few logic, especially when it comes to identifying the locant, anong number ibibigay mo sa mga to. Okay? And there will be some added spiciness sa ating IUPAC nomenclature. Kasi medyo iba yung way in naming benzene derivatives eh. So hopefully by the end of our session, marunong na tayo mag-name ng benzene compounds, okay? And the next meeting, we'll dedicate it for the reactions, okay? And I hope you will participate sa discussion so I will know if may clarification ba kayo or nasundan ba yung idea, okay? So we'll discuss nomenclature again. So our outline for today ay ito lang. We will identify the benzene derivatives and their corresponding name, the polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons, and the phenols. Okay? So yan tatlo lang gagawin natin. Okay? So let's begin with the benzene. Okay? What is a benzene? Benzene is a hydrocarbon that is hexagon in shape. Okay? Hexagon siya in shape. It is a hydrocarbon, ibig sabihin puro carbon and hydrogen lang yan. And it has an alternating double bond. Okay? So kung naaalala nyo sa second slide ng, I think third slide ng chapter 6 lesson natin, yung part 1, nakita nyo doon bandang dulo, you have your aromatic, diba? And may ganitong picture. So this picture is the benzene molecule. So benzene molecule is a hydrocarbon that contains 6 carbons and 6 na hydrogen. So C6H6 that corresponds to benzene. Another thing with benzene is that it has an alternating double bond. Pag you have an alternating double bond, tawag doon ay conjugated. Okay? Yan yung term natin. Conjugated meaning the double bonds are alternating. Meron, wala, meron, wala, meron, wala. Okay? So, yan yung meaning ng alternating or conjugated. And what else do we know about benzene? It is non-polar. Okay, obviously, because that's hydrocarbon. Diba, primarily ng hydrocarbon naman, non-polar, right? Kasi carbon-hydrogen is non-polar bond. Okay? And it is aromatic. Okay? Aromatic in a sense na may amoy siya. Okay? And then there's a group of organic compound that is called aromatic. You will learn more of that in your lecture. No? So Monday pa lang naman, so you still have plenty of time no, to discover that in your laboratory. So kanina nag-class na ako sa in the lecture. Kanina nag-discuss na ako nun sa lecture class ko. Okay naman, nasundan naman nila. Okay. So hopefully masundan din ninyo pag na-discuss na siya sa lecture, yung idea ng aromatic. But simply speaking, basta aromatic may amoy. So apparently the smell of benzene is medyo matamis siya. But this is toxic na. It can actually cause cancer. Okay? Bakit siya nagko-cause ng cancer? Kasi flat yung molecule. Okay? And the flatness of the molecule can actually result into its carcinogenic tendency. Okay? Siguro ma-discuss natin to sa reactions. Okay? So, yun sa reaction na lang. So, yan. That is benzene. Siya yung ganyan yung representation. Hexagon with alternating double bond. Meaning, if we draw the Lewis structure, it will look like this. No? Yan. So, it will look like this. And then, of course, the implied hydrogens are not shown kasi hydrogens are invisible in our line angle formula. Okay? So this is the benzene in its Lewis structure. This is in the line angle formula. It has an alternating double bond, meaning it is conjugated. It can also exhibit resonance. Ano meaning ng resonance? The electrons can flow. Okay? So, pwedeng electron mapunta dito, mapunta doon, mapunta dito. So, hindi nagiging ganyan yung itsura niya, maging ganito na. Ayan. Tapos yung electron pwede ulit bumalik doon. So, mamove sila pag ganun. Okay? So, yun yung idea ng resonance. Anyway, more of that will be discussed in the lecture naman. Okay? So, yan. So, basta, that is benzene. And, bakit kaya benzene derivatives, no? Kasi later on, yung mga molecules na ipapakita ko are derived from benzene. Okay? So, galing sila sa benzene molecule, then dinugtungan lang ng substituents. Okay? So, that's why we call them benzene derivatives. So, look at this, some of the benzene derivatives. So, these are benzene rings. Okay? And mapapansin mo, may mga nakakabit lang sa kanya. For example, in this molecule here, it has an ethyl group. Okay? CH2, CH3. Ethyl yan. So, if the ethyl is attached to benzene, ang name niya ay ethyl benzene. Okay? So, basically, the IUPAC system retains na nasusunod pa rin yung IUPAC system. Kumbaga, our parent chain now is the benzene. Okay? Okay, so yun. So, benzene. The parent chain in our compound is benzene. Okay, so this one is ethyl benzene because simply you have an ethyl group here attached to your benzene. This one, ano kaya pangalan nito? Isang carbon yung nakadugtong sa benzene. So ano ulit pangalan kapag isang carbon yung substituent? Methyl. So we can call this compound methyl benzene. Okay? We can call it methyl benzene. Ganun lang, na? Identify mo lang yung substituent. You identify the parent name. Okay? So, ganun lang. Very simple. The common name of this compound, the common name of methylbenzene is toluene. Okay? And you have to remember that. Okay? Kailangan kabisaduhin nyo yan na kapag ganyan yung itsura, toluene ang name niya. Methylbenzene or toluene. Because mostly, kapag benzene derivatives, we use the common name. Not really the IUPAC name, but the common name is usually used dito sa benzene derivatives. Okay? So we can call it by IUPAC name, the methylbenzene. However, the more common version is the toluene. Saan nakikita yung toluene? Sa marker. Okay? Yung mabango dun sa marker. Siyempre, kapag teacher, exposed ako sa marker. Ang bango-bango nun. Favorite smell ko yan eh. So, yan. That is toluene. Yung maamoy sa whiteboard marker. So, that's toluene. Okay? How about this one? This one, it possesses an ethene. Okay? So, ito ay ethene. Bakit kaya siya naging ethene? Actually, that's ethenyl. Ethene kasi may double bond. Il kasi substituent siya. So, ethenyl yung tawag sa kanya. Bakit F? Dalawa kasi carbon. Carbon 1, carbon 2. May double bond, so in. Substituent, kaya il. Okay? So, ang name niya, ethenyl. Siya si ethenyl benzene. Okay? May ethenyl ka sa benzene. The common name, however, sabi ko nga, yung IUPAC name, hindi siya masyado ginagamit. Okay? Especially for benzene derivative. So, ang common name nito ay styrene. Saan nyo naririnig yung word na styrene? Styrene. Styro. Ito yung nasa styro. Okay. Pag bumibili kayo ng mga kape sa 7-Eleven or mga may Christmas party, may styrofoam, ito yon. Yan yung compound doon. Okay? Styrene. Okay? Pag pinagdugtong-dugtong mo yan, it will be styrofoam. Ayan. Okay? So, yun. Di ba nakita nyo na to sa alkene reactions natin? Yun sa polymerization. Ayan. So, the styrene is the monomer for the styrofoam polymer. Okay? So, yan. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, basically, yung IUPAC name still followed siya. However, mostly for benzene derivative, we use the common name. So, you really need to remember the common names. This one is called toluene, but the IUPAC name is methylbenzene. This one is called styrene, but the IUPAC name is ethynyl benzene. Okay? Ano pa? Marami pa tayong kakabisaduhin. Pag nakabisado nyo to, madali na lang. Okay? So, ano pa? Next slide. Dami, no? So, if you have an OH, hydroxy tawag dyan, na nakadugtong sa benzene, edi yung IUPAC name niya is hydroxybenzene. However, instead of calling it hydroxybenzene, the common name is the phenol. Asan yung phenol? Yung phenol, actually, pampaputi ito. Natalsikan ako nito nung college sa laboratory. Although hindi yun good na, pero nakakatawa lang. Natalsikan ako niyan sa kamay. Ng kamay ko nung natamaan ng phenol, namuti siya talaga. Pampaputi kasi yan eh. Although delikado yan, this is cancerous actually. So pag namatay ako sa cancer, alam niyo na kung bakit. Because I'm a chemist. Ayan. So instead of calling it hydroxybenzene, we just call it phenol. Okay? Again, the common name is usually used dito sa benzene derivatives natin. Okay? Ito naman. Ano yung IUPAC name niya? So ito, kapag nakakita ka ng ganito sa IUPAC, tawag dyan methoxy. Ito yung meth, ito yung oxy. Methyl na may oxygen. So tawag namin dyan methoxy. Okay? Pero kapag yan ay nakadugtong sa benzene, tawag sa kanya ay methoxybenzene. You have a methyl, you have an oxygen, you have a benzene. But again, lucky for us, ang common name ang madalas na ginagamit. We call this the anisole. Okay? Yan, anisole. This one naman, ang IUPAC name niya, pati common name is the same. This is benzoic acid. Benzoic, kasi you have a benzene ring. Acid, kasi you have a carboxylic group. Whenever you have a carboxylic group, that's considered acid. Okay? So, yan. So, benzoic acid. Yung IUPAC name niya and yung kanyang common name ay iisa. Ito yung benzoic. Ito yung acid form. Okay? Ano pa? Next one, we have an amine. If we have an amine attached to the benzene, we call it the aminobenzene. Aminobenzene. Amine pati benzene. Aminobenzene. Or sometimes it is called phenylamine. Phenylamine. O baliktad naman yan, yung phenyl nakadugtong sa amine. Okay. Ang tawag kasi kapag yung benzene ring ang substituent mo, tawag doon ay phenyl. So pwede naman, no? But the common way of calling this is aminobenzene. Okay? So this is the amine group, and the benzene ring. The common name for this one is just aniline. Saan ginagamit yung aniline? Dati ginagamit to sa fuel ng spacecraft. Okay? Pero delikado kasi to. Kaya tinigil na nila yung use of aniline. Okay? Ginagamit yan sa mga rockets noong 1950s, 1960s. And then they opted to use kerosene and liquid hydrogen na lang. Okay? And then, of course, last one, we have the benzaldehyde. Similar with benzoic acid, no? Yung kanyang IUPAC name and the common name ay iisa. Benzaldehyde, you have a benzene, and you have an aldehyde here. Okay? You have a benzene ring and the aldehyde here. Okay? So that's benzaldehyde. Okay? So yan lang naman yung mga common benzene derivatives natin. Okay? You have to remember all of them. Okay? Kailangan kabisaduhin nyo lahat sila because if kabisado nyo na sila, then the nomenclature later will be much easier. Okay? So I highly suggest na as early as now, gawa kayo ng index card or just open the PowerPoint. No? Pwede mo naman i-download to sa Canvas. So, gawa kayo sa index card ng names of benzene derivatives and their corresponding common names. Okay? So, yan lang naman sila. Okay? You have the ethyl benzene, the toluene, or the methyl benzene, styrene or ethinyl benzene, hydroxybenzene or phenol. You have the methoxybenzene or the anisole, benzoic acid, benzaldehyde, and aminobenzene or aniline. Na-share ko lang, no, yung benzaldehyde, super sweet niyan when it comes to smell. Amoy ano siya, cherry. 'Di ba? 'Di ba alam niyo yung cherry syrup? Ayan. Palakasin niyo pa yung amoy niya siguro mga 10 times or 100 times. Okay. Kasi pag binuksan mo yung bote ng benzaldehyde, nangangamoy yan sa buong kwarto. Amoy ano kayo, cherry candy. So yeah, that's benzaldehyde. So again, just remember all these common names kasi later on, sila yung magiging parent chain. Okay? Later on, sila yung magiging parent chain. So kailangan kabisaduhin nyo na sila. So again, what are the benzene derivatives and their names? We have the, ano yan? We have the toluene, we have the styrene, we have the phenol, we have the anisole, we have the benzoic acid, we have the aniline, and lastly, we have the benzaldehyde. Okay? So, kailangan kabisaduhin sila because later, magagamit natin yan. In case na yung inyong benzene compounds doesn't fall into any of these common name, okay, kunwari, yung benzene compound mo, such as this two thing here, okay, kunwari, yung benzene compound mo, wala siya sa mga yon, yung mga sinabi ko kanina. Kunwari, hindi siya toluene, hindi siya styrene, hindi siya ito, hindi siya ito, hindi siya ito, hindi siya ito, hindi siya yon. Pag ganun, pag hindi siya any of those, ang tatawagin natin sa benzene ay phenyl. Okay? Ito yung substituent form ng benzene. Mapapansin nyo, this is not similar to any derivatives I shown earlier. Wala naman siya dito. So, wala tong common name. So, in order for you to name this, you will consider the benzene not as the parent chain, but as a substituent. Okay? Kailan uli i-consider si benzene as substituent? Kapag hindi ganito yung itsura niya. Okay? So, not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, not this. Pag ganyan yung itsura niya, it doesn't resemble any of the highlighted structures I gave earlier, then you consider your benzene as a substituent. Therefore, you have to call it the phenyl. Okay? The phenyl group. Ibig sabihin, substituent siya. Okay? So, ganun. Kapag hindi mo ma-recognize to, ano ulit tawag sa benzene? Phenyl na. Okay? Pag wala siya sa any of those molecules, you call it phenyl. Okay? So, in this molecule here, it doesn't look like any of the derivatives I shown earlier. So, basically, you will call this the phenyl. Okay? And then, you name the hydrocarbon chain as is. Pangalanan mo siya as kung paano ka magpangalan ng hydrocarbon. Of course, you will give greater priority to chlorine. Okay? So, kasi, ano to Cl chloro, ito phenyl. Mauuna siya alphabetically. So, siya yung bibigyan mo ng first name. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carbon yan. So, that is butane. On the first carbon, you have the chloro. And on the fourth carbon, you have the phenyl. So that's how we dissect it. Okay? So again, ang benzene, kapag wala siya sa any of those highlighted molecules, ang tawag sa kanya ay phenyl. Okay? Phenyl. And you treat it as a substituent, not as a parent chain. Okay? So ganun. You do not treat it as a parent chain, rather you treat it as a substituent. Ito. Tignan nyo. Tawag dito ay diphenyl methane. Bakit? It doesn't resemble any of the molecule as shown earlier. Okay? And so ibig sabihin, you call it diphenyl methane. So basically, methane yan kasi isang carbon lang to. And diphenyl kasi dalawang benzene ring nakadugtong sa kanya. Dalawang phenyl or benzene na substituent yung nakadugtong sa kanya. Okay? So ito naman ay side kwento lang. Later we will focus on these molecules here as the parent. But again, if yung molecule mo, it doesn't resemble any of the highlighted images here, then you call the benzene ring a phenyl group. Okay? You call it phenyl. Okay? And then you can just count the number of carbons connected to it. Use the IUPAC system in naming it. Okay? So for example, just like what we had here. So it's 1-chloro-4-phenyl butane. Okay? So ganun lang. Now, papunta ulit tayo dito. Oopsie. So, sometimes, yung ating benzene compounds, balik ulit tayo sa benzene derivatives. Yung ating benzene derivatives, yung position ng substituents niya, especially kung dalawa yun, you can use what's called an ortho-para and ortho-meta-para positions or locant. So, pwede gumamit ng number, pero usually, kapag dalawa yung substituent mo, instead of using numbers, katulad ng ginagawa natin sa IUPAC, ang ginagawa namin kapag benzene ay gumagamit kami ng ortho, meta, para. Okay? Kaya kung nakakita kayo sa Facebook na ang tawag sa kanya ay meta, diba, you have the ortho, tas logo ng Facebook company ngayon, which is Meta, and then the para. Ito yun, okay? So, again, we can still use the locants, yung numbers. However, it is common that we use the ortho-meta para notation. That is only true if you have two substituents. Kailan mo siya tatawagin na ortho? Kailan mo siya tatawagin na meta? Kailan mo siya tatawagin na para? So, you will call it ortho if your substituents are besides each other, nasa carbon 1 and 2 siya. So, if nasa carbon 1 and 2 yan, tawag dyan ay ortho. Okay? So, again, kapag ang dalawang substituent ay nasa carbon 1 and 2, you call it ortho. Okay? A meta is when your substituents are at carbon number 1 and 3. Pag nasa 1 and 3, yan ay meta. Okay? Yan, nilalagyan nila yan ng logo ng Facebook ngayon and something like that. Anyway. And then the para, ito naman if your two substituents are in carbons number 1 and 4. So carbon 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So again, this is only true if you have two substituents. So yan ay pwedeng ortho kapag magkatabi lang. Pwede yan ay meta kapag nasa carbon 1 and carbon number 3. Kumbaga parang alternating. And pwede yan para kapag nasa opposite side siya ng benzene ring. Okay? So carbons number 1 and 4. Okay? So to show that further, we have some examples here. So ito ay ortho. Kapag ortho, usually we indicate it with the letter O in front of the name. Kapag yan ay meta, we indicate with M followed by the name. And then kapag para, that's letter P followed by the name. Okay? Tignan nyo to, O, meaning ortho. Nasa carbon 1 and 2, yung iyong atoms. Look at this. This is P. Kasi nasa carbon 1 and 4, yung iyong substituents. This is M. Kasi meta. Sa carbon 1 and 3, yung substituents mo. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, basically, prepare ko lang kayo bago tayo pumunta sa mismong nomenclature. Although we are naming na, but again, there are some changes when it comes to benzene derivatives, such as yung use of ortho, meta, para. We don't usually use number for benzene, especially kung dalawa lang substituent. What we do is we use the ortho, meta, para locants. Okay? Again, kapag ortho, magkatabi lang sila. 1, 2 carbons, andun yung substituent. Meta, kapag nasa 1 and 3 carbon, yung substituent. And then para, if they are on the opposite side, no? Carbon 1 and carbon 4. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, kapag nakakita kayo ng mga ganyan, mga O, P, pati M, yan ay ortho, meta, para lang. Okay? It suggests that your benzene has 2 substituents. And those substituents could either be located at carbon 1 and 2, 1 and 3, o kaya 1 and 4. Okay? So with that in mind, let's look at the name written here. Explain natin bakit ganyan yung names nila. Okay? And then later, we have many examples naman. Okay? So let's try to rationalize on why are they called that, no? Kasi alam na natin na ortho, yan, ito para, ito meta, no? Pero bakit ganyan yung name nila, no? Bakit tawag dyan 2-bromobenzoic acid? Bakit tawag dyan, ethyl methyl toluene? Magpapatugtog na naman yung kapitbahay. Anyway, bakit tawag dito is methylphenol? Bakit kaya ganun? Okay? So let me explain, no? 'Di ba sabi ko kanina, you have to remember this. Okay? Kasi pag nakita mo 'yan, that will be your parent chain, okay? Pag nakakita ka ng benzene na may methyl, that would be your parent chain. Benzene na may ethynyl, yan, ang parent name mo will be your styrene. Pag nakakita ka ng benzene na may OH, tawag mo dyan, phenol. Pag may nakita ka benzene na may methoxy group, that's called anisole. Pag may nakita kang benzene na may carboxylic, tawag dyan ay benzoic acid. Benzene na may aldehyde, tawag dyan ay benzaldehyde. Benzene na may amino, tawag dyan aminobenzene or anisole. Okay? So again, important na kabisado nyo to so that you can name the other molecules. Okay? So, ganito yung gagawin natin kapag nagne-name tayo ng benzene derivatives. Tignan mo kung sino dyan yung may common name. Okay? May common name ba tayo para dito? Di ba wala? Ano yung meron tayong common name? What we have for the common name is this one. Ano tawag dito? Tawag dyan? Benzoic acid. Di ba? So, yun yung magiging parent name natin. Okay? So, ganun. Ganun yung pag-name sa benzene compounds, na? So, hindi lang siya basta one something to something, no. You just look into the bigger picture, hanapin mo kung sino yung may common name. So, dito sa substituent na to, we don't have any common name for that. However, dito sa substituent na to, we have a common name for that. Tawag natin dyan, benzoic acid. So, ang benzoic acid, yung ating parent name. So, since ito yung ating parent name, meaning, we start counting dito sa carbon na to. Okay? So, ganun yung gagawin nyo. Since ito yung iyong parent chain, you start the carbon count here. Magbilang ka dyan. So, you can do the numbering clockwise or counterclockwise. But of course, the most logical way of numbering our atoms here, the benzene atoms, will be the clockwise. Bakit clockwise? Kasi lower yung number ng magiging BR natin. So if you do it clockwise, ito yung number niya, 2. However, if you do it counterclockwise, it will be 6. Okay, sabi natin, the lower the number, dapat. So, the numbering will be clockwise. So, the 2 is connected to the bromine. So, that's 2-bromo. And you have your parent chain, which is benzoic acid. So, that's why we call it 2-bromo benzoic acid. The benzoic acid is your common name. That's your parent chain. And the 2-bromo suggests na may bromine sa second carbon after ng carboxylic group. And just as what we said, kapag dalawa lang substituent mo, you call it the O or the ortho. Okay? So it could be named as ortho, bromo, benzoic acid, or pwede rin namang 2-bromo benzoic acid. So, ganun na. Important na kabisado nyo to. Kasi yan yung magdidikta kung ano pangalan ng molecule mo. Okay? So, kung siya ba ay toluene ba yung name ng parent, styrene ba yung name ng parent, phenol ba yung name ng parent, so on and so forth. Okay? So, yan yung reason bakit ang pangalan niya ay 2-bromo-benzoic acid or ortho-bromo-benzoic acid. Okay? Yun yung name niya kasi of the two substituents, ito yung may common name. Pangalan niya, benzoic acid. So, numberan mo na lang yan. Okay? So, ganun lang. Oh, how about this one? Oh, ang daming nakalagay na name, pero ito yung explain ko. Bakit yan yung name niya? Okay? So, explain natin why it is called para-ethyl toluene. O kaya, bakit siya tinawag na 4-ethyl toluene? Emphasize ko to kasi itong dalawa hindi masyado ginagamit to. Okay? So, itong dalawa yung madalas na ginagamit. Okay? Bakit ganyan yung name nila? Just as I said, tignan mo kung sino yung may common name. Itong ethyl benzene, this is IUPAC name yan eh. Okay? Yung naka-common name, yun yung naka-underline. Okay? Kasi yun yung toluene, styrene, yun yung common name. So, yung ethyl benzene, wala siyang common name. IUPAC name meron. Pero yung toluene, yun, common name yun, methyl benzene. Common name yun, toluene. So, ibig sabihin, of the two substituents of the benzene, ang may common name is ito. Itong methyl na to. Ano pangalan uli kapag methyl yung nakadugtong sa benzene? Tawag doon, toluene. Pero kapag ethyl na connect sa benzene, wala siyang common name. Okay? Wala siyang common name. So that's why we will use this as the parent chain. Kasi siya yung may common name. So yun. So yun yung importance. Ba't kailangan kabisado yung common name? Kasi kung sino may common name, siya yung magdidikta ng pangalan ng molecule. Okay? So, it's not this. Okay? Kasi wala siyang common name. IUPAC meron. Common wala. Ito, meron siyang common name. Tawag natin dyan, toluene. Okay? So that's why we call it toluene. So ngayon, kung ito toluene to, ito ethyl to, bigyan mo siya ng number, obviously. So start counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 yung locant niya. So that's why it's called 4-ethyl toluene. Or again, pag yung substituents nasa carbon 1 and 4, tawag doon ay para. So, pwede mo siya tawagin na 4-ethyl toluene o kaya para-ethyl toluene or p-ethyl toluene. Okay? So again, it is important for you to know sino yung may common name. Okay? Paano yung next one? Okay? Paano yan? So, paano to? You have an OH, which you know is phenol. You have the methyl, which you know is toluene. Okay? So, aling gagamitin mo dyan? Actually, you can use both. Okay? You can use both. No? Kasi dalawa na yung kanyang common name eh. Di ba? Kaya ang dami niyang pangalan. Okay? So, ganun yung kaganapan sa benzene. If you can name it, if you have two common substituents, then you name it accordingly. Pero, Just to be uniform, we will prioritize the OH than the methyl. Okay? So, ganun na lang, just to be uniform. Although you can name them individually, pwede ito phenol, pwede ito ipangalan mo dito ay toluene. However, we will prioritize the OH over the CH3. Okay? We will prioritize the OH than the CH3. Okay? So, this will be given the higher priority. Ibig sabihin siya dapat yung maging common name. Although possible na pwede sila parehas common name, that's why ang daming name dito. But still, the most accepted one is when you give the OH the higher priority. Okay? So, ganun. So, that will be given the higher priority. So, later, papakita ko sa inyo yung priority list para hindi kayo malito, no? So, in case na ganyan mangyari, lilista ko kung sino yung dapat bigyan mo ng first priority. Okay? So, ganun. So, yan. This will be given the higher priority than the methyl. Kaya ang tawag dyan ay phenol. And then you call it the methyl. And letter M meaning meta. Okay? So, the methyl is at carbon number 3. Okay? Kasi nga, this will be given your higher priority. Although, pwede yung toluene. Pwede yung maging 3-hydroxytoluene. But it's not commonly used because we give OH the higher priority than the CH3. Okay? Than the CH3. Okay, so that's why the common name for this one is the 3-methylphenol. You can also call the meta-methylphenol, or ito another common name, metacresol. Okay? But these two are the most accepted name. Okay? So, ganun lang. You give OH the higher priority. Okay, so ito na pala yan. So, again, the phenol will be given the higher priority. Although valid yung name na yon, we still want to give this the higher priority. Okay? So, the OH will be given the higher priority than the CH3. Okay? How about this one? This two, dalawang common name pwede magawa natin dyan. You have the aniline. Okay, aniline yan, di ba? Ako nakalimutan, tingin ulit tayo dito. Aniline, ito yun. Aminobenzene, di ba? So, this thing is aniline. Pero dito sa taas may pangalan din siya. Pangalan yan, anisole. Kasi nasusundin mo. Okay? So, ang priority naman dito, in this case, is that yung amine, okay? Yung amine yung bibigyan mo ng higher priority. Si nitrogen ang bibigyan ng higher priority. Okay? So, ganun. So, instead of, basta may CH3, lower priority. Yun na lang yung shortcut. May CH3 yan eh. So, lower priority yan among the two. Tignan nyo dito. Ito may CH3. So, lower priority yan. Okay? So, parang ganun yung technique dito. Okay? So, basta may makita kang CH3 na nakadugtong, that will be lower priority. Between this, may CH3 yan. So, lower priority yan. Okay? So, instead of naming it 3-aminoanisole, tawag natin dyan ay 3-methoxyaniline. So, this is your aniline. This will be your higher priority. And ito, instead of calling it anisole, since siya ay substituent, you will just call it methoxy. Kasi hindi naman siya yung parent eh. So, you call it methoxy. Anyway, yung quiz naman natin is ganito lang. Basically, kung ano yung mga example natin, lalabas din yon. But you need to explain why. Okay? Bakit yun yung name? Okay? So, you just need to follow on what I say. Na? So, usually, kapag may methyl, CH3 na nakadugtong, medyo lower yung priority niya. Okay? compared to the OH lang, compared to the NH2. Okay? So, ganun. Sir, what if OH yan, pati NH2 yung magkadikit? Ano gagawin namin? In that cases, OH pa rin yung susundan. Okay? So, usually kasi OH talaga yung pinakamataas yung priority. Okay? Siya yung pinakamataas yung priority. Okay? So, yun yung dalawa substituent na. If you have two substituents, you have to look for the common name kung meron. If you can find a substituent that produces a common name, then use it. Ibig sabihin, yung ibang nakakabit, substituent name tawag, gagawin mo doon. Pag dalawa lang substituent mo, you can use the ortho meta para. Again, kapag ortho, ang substituent ay nasa carbon 1 and 2 ng benzene ring. Pag yan ay meta, nasa carbon 1 and 3. Pag yan ay para, nasa carbon 1 and 4. So, itong dalawa, these are meta. Kasi yung substituents natin ay nasa carbon 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Okay? Paano naman po kapag more than 2 substituents? Pag more than 2 substituents, ganun pa rin. Maghanap ka ng common name. Pero hindi mo na pwede gamitin yung ortho meta para. Hindi na pwede. Kasi the ortho meta para can only be used for disubstituted benzene. Ibig sabihin nun, dalawa lang yung substituent. Okay? So, hindi na pwede gumamit dito ng ortho meta para. Instead, numbers na yung gagamitin mo. Paano po magna-numbering? So, yung pag na-number natin, basically, kung sino yung magbibigay ng lowest locant. Okay? Kung sino yung magbibigay ng pinakamababang number. Okay? So, yan. Look at this. No? So, we have 4 substituent. Isip ka, sino dyan yung may common name? Do we have a common name for this one? Diba? Wala. Wala yun sa listahan earlier, diba? So, wala siyang common name. However, this one, meron. Tawag natin dyan, phenol. Okay? So, that's why ang kanyang parent name ay phenol. So, ibig sabihin yan, you start counting the number of carbons dito. You do it clockwise, counterclockwise. So, pwede kahit ano naman dito. Okay? If you do it counterclockwise, same numbers din yung lalabas. Okay? So, in this molecule, this is considered as your parent kasi siya yung may common. And then, after you identify the parent, mag-number ka na. Clockwise, counterclockwise, basta lower yung locant mo for the substituent. In our case, if you do it counterclockwise, same lang din. Okay? So, this will be 2, this will be 4, this will be 6. Okay? Same lang din. And then yan, you have 3 bromine substituents. Ano tawag sa bromine kapag siya ay substituent? Siya ay bromo. So, saan nakakabit yung mga bromo natin? Carbon 2, carbon 4, carbon 6. That's why the name is 2,4,6-tribromophenol. Again, do not forget to include the word tri kasi tatlo yung bromine mo. Tatlo yung bromine sa carbon 2, carbon 4, and carbon 6. And phenol is your parent name. Okay? Kasi siya lang yung may common name. Okay? So, ganun lang mag-name ng benzene derivatives, no? Umuulan. So, ganun lang mag-name, no? Identify kung sino yung ating parent. Usually, yung parent, yun yung may common. What if parehas silang parent, no? Edi you prioritize the OH over anything else, okay? OH usually yung higher priority. Okay? And then yung iba, pangalanan mo sila as their corresponding substituent name. And then yung numbering, kayo na bahala. But again, this is a ring, benzene ring yan. So you can do the counting clockwise, counterclockwise. Just keep in mind that the number or the locant must be lower. Okay. Then, so So, umuulan dito sa Valenzuela. I don't know if umuulan sa inyo. So, if ever na magputol-putol tayo, let me know lang, okay? We have some examples here, okay? This one is called 2,4-dinitrophenol. Kapag NO2 yung nakakabit sa benzene, that is called nitro. Okay? So, that is called nitro. Okay? So, bakit hindi ito yung parent name natin? Kasi wala tayong common name for that. Wala tayong common name. Baka isipin nyo, aniline yan. Hindi. Ang aniline, NH2 eh. Ito, NO2. So, iba yan. Wala yung common name. So, again, identify sino yung may common name. That's phenol. And then, yung substituent, numberan mo na lang. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, the nitro substituents are in carbon number 2 and 4. So, that's why we call it 2,4-dinitrophenol. Ganun lang. Ito, paano to? Ito nasa baba. Ala sir, paano yan? May toluene ako. Tapos meron akong styrene. Sino yung common name ko? Sabi ko nga kanina, pag may methyl, medyo mababang priority yan. Okay? So you will not use the toluene, okay, as your parent name. You will instead use the styrene. Okay? You will instead use the styrene. Ito yung papangalanan mo. This will be styrene. And then ito, that will be trimethyl. So that's why the name is 2,4,6-trimethyl styrene. Okay? Ayun, ganun lang. So again, yung CH3 that is lower in priority. Ito. We have here 2,4,6-trinitrotoluene. Ito yung nasa bomba. TNT. Alam nyo ba, ito yung dahilan bakit bawal magdala ng maraming tubig sa LRT. 'Di ba? Pag may tubig, usually bawal. Okay. Sinisita yan sa LRT pagpasukan. Kung hindi nyo pa na-experience, wait nyo na lang mag face-to-face. Pag marami kayong tubig na dala, bawal yan. Isa-surrender nyo yan. Bakit, no? I think, bata pa kasi ako nito, no? Pero naalala ko lang siya. I think it has something to do with the bombing sa Blumentritt ba yan? Sa Blumentritt. Naalala nyo pa ba yon? 2004. Nanonood ako sa TV nun eh. Pakita ko sa inyo yung article sa Google. Blumentritt bombing. Ayan, Rizal Day bombing. 2000 pala. 2000 pa pala to. Ang tanda ko na. Naalala ko siya kasi even I was 1 year old, 2 years old, nanonood ako ng TV. Wala akong friends eh. So, yan. So, ayan. 2000 pala to. Okay. So, nangyari dito, there were series of bombings in Metro Manila. This is somehow related to terrorist group na Al-Qaeda ata. I'm not sure. Okay, so ito yung mga pinasabugan, yung sa embassy ng UN, US pala, sa EDSA ba to? Sa NAIA, sa EDSA na naman, and of course sa Blumentritt Station. Anong nangyari dito is, okay, ito, basahin nyo, nitrate-based explosives. No? Ammonium nitrate-based explosive. So, usually yun yung powder, no? Na nakalagay sa bote. Pero may tinatawag din tayong liquid bomb. Okay. And yung liquid bomb na yun is yung trinitrotoluene. Okay. So, madali lang siya gawin. No? Pero hindi ko ituturo. Baka, ano yan eh. Baka may gawin. Anyway, so hindi ko siya ituturo. Pero madali lang siya gawin. No? I-mix mo lang yung isang substance with the other. So, clear yan eh. Parehas clear na liquid yan. So, i-mix lang nila. Then yan, mahu-form na yung bomb. Then, gagawin na lang nila, they need to detonate it, no? Using a fuse, then sasabog siya. Mahilig kasi ako manood ng mga crime, no? Kaya medyo alam ko rin. So, yan. Ganun yung ginagawa, no? That's why, sa LRT, medyo bawal na magdala ng maraming tubig. Okay lang yung onte, no? Pero yung super dami, yung as in isang galong tubig, no? Sa pagsususpetsahan kanyang mga security guard natin, okay? And that is related kasi due to terrorist attacks in the country early 2000s, okay? So yun. So this is the TNT, trinitrotoluene. Yan yon. Yan, pwede siyang liquid form. Pwede naman siyang i-crystallize din as solid. Okay. Pero pwede siya gawin in liquid form. Kaya bawal. Ito rin yung dahilan bakit bawal din ito sa airplane, 'di ba? Pag sumakay kayo ng airplane, may limit sa liquid, 'di ba? Yung perfume kapag sobrang dami, ko-confiscate nila 'yan. Bakit? Kasi ganito nga, no? Trinitrotoluene. Gagawa yan in the liquid form. Related to the Rizal Day bombing also, yung bombing noong 1998 ata. Yun yung taon na pinanganak ako. Hindi ko na alam, pero napanood ko siya sa YouTube, no. Documentary siya about yung bombing ng Philippine Airlines bombing. Papunta siya ng ng Japan. Okay. Ayun. So, ginamit dyan liquid na bomba. Okay. Ayan. So, this is ito yun, flight 434. Kaya kung ako sa inyo, manood kayo ng mga docu. Huwag puro drama. Sa docu, ang dami mo matututunan. Marerelate mo yung lesson mo. Okay. So, alam kong ginamit dito is liquid bomb. No? If I'm not mistaken. Ayan, setting the bomb. Okay. So, yan, sumabog. Pero buti na lang, ligtas yung passengers. Although may casualty na isa. But in general, buhay naman yung natira. Around 300 people naman yung buhay. Sayang, may casualty pa rin. Pero, ayun. So, that is just to emphasize itong molecule na to. Trinitrotoluene. So, you might be familiar, no? Or you might have encountered this in cartoons, no? So, in cartoons, ito yung pinapasabog parati ni sa Tom and Jerry. Pag nakita nyo TNT, ito yun. Okay? So, yan. Share ko lang. Minecraft din ba meron? Ayan. Hindi ako nagpa-Minecraft eh. So, ganun lang. So, bakit siya toluene? Kasi, ito lang yung may common name. Then, itong nitro, wala yung common name. So, you treat it as substituent. So, that's 2,4,6 trinitrotoluene or TNT. Bomba. Okay? How about this one? In case na kunwari pare-parehas yan, okay, pare-parehas yung substituent na may common name, hindi mo siya papangalanan as common name. Pangalanan mo na lang yung parent as the benzene. Okay? This is also true kapag kunwari puro OH, kunwari puro NH2. So you will not call it as aniline or phenol or toluene. You will just call it benzene na lang. Kasi pare-parehas yan eh, no? If repetitive yung substituent, then let's use the name benzene. Then 1, 2, 3 trimethylbenzene. Okay? So hindi mo siya papangalanan as 2, 3 dimethyltoluene. Ay, hindi. Basta kapag same na lahat ng substituent, then use the benzene na lang. Okay? So gamitin mo na lang yung word na benzene. Yun lang na. So basically, the nomenclature for benzene is very easy. You just need to recognize some patterns, okay? The common names, and of course, yung pag-identify sino yung higher priority over the others. Just as I said, kapag may CH3, siya yung usual na lower priority. For example, yung CH3 lang, or yung methoxy, no? So, ganun. And then yung OH, usually yan yung given the higher priority, the highest. No? We also have this thing called the polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbon or PAHS, okay, or PA. Saan ito nakikita? So, maraming bagay yung may polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbon. Pag sinabi natin polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbon, ano siya? Parang benzene ring na pinagdugtong-dugtong mo lang. Okay? So, naphthalene, familiar tayo dito. Ito yung kulay puti na nasa cabinet ni Lolo o ni Lola. Okay? Naphthalene or mothball. Okay? Kaya siya, delikado to hawakan, no? Kasi medyo cancerous yan eh. Katulad ng benzene ring, cancerous yung benzene. So ito naphthalene, wag nyo siya hawakan by bare hands, no? Kung hawakan nyo man by bare hands, magugas kayo ng kamay. Huwag nyo ilagay agad sa mata, sa ilong, sa bibig, wag. Kasi delikado. Okay? So yan. So naphthalene, ito yung nasa mothball natin. Phenanthrene, ayan, ang alam ko lang na usage nito is sa mga inorganic compounds eh. Medyo complex na yun, so hindi ko na i-share. So yan, phenanthrene, ito naman, you have 3 benzene rings that are fused in a curved fashion. Kapag yan ay nakalinear, yan ay anthracene. Kapag 4 naman na benzene ring magkakadugtong, you call it a pyrene, and pag 5, you call it a benzoapyrene. Okay? So, yun lang. So, ito lang yung may familiar akong usage. No? Kasi ito yung ginagamit sa sa pampatay ng ipis. Okay. So, naphthalene. Yung phenanthrene, anthracene, pyrene, benzoapyrene, medyo hindi ako familiar sa usage nila. Okay? So, yun na nga, mothball contains naphthalene. Ito pala. So, ang benzoapyrene, nakikita daw pala siya sa tar. Sa coal tar. Ano yung tar? Yun yung itim sa kapag nagluluto kayo ng sangyup, no? Yun yung itim-itim na that contains polyaromatic hydrocarbon. So, alam ko siya polyaromatic hydrocarbon pero yung benzoapyrene ngayon ko lang din nalaman. Okay. So, it apparently consists of benzoapyrene, which is also a polyaromatic hydrocarbon. That's why sinasabi sa atin ng mga nutritionist not to eat the charred part of the meat. Charred, ibig sabihin yung sunog, yung tostado na talaga. Okay, so kapag kayo nagsasangyup, pag sunog na sunog yan, huwag nyo kakainin. Kasi delikado. Kasi sabi ko nga, usually, yung mga compounds na puro benzene ring, sila ay cancerous. No? Kapag puro benzene ring lang, okay? Pero kapag may substituent yan, medyo hindi na siya cancerous. Okay? Actually, pwede pa nga siya maging drugs, no? Such as ibuprofen, 'di ba? Doon sa sa quiz na may nakita kayong mga benzene ring na may substituent. Pag yung benzene may substituent, usually safe na 'yan. However, if it is just pure benzene ring such as this molecule here, the benzoapyrene, cancerous 'yan. And even naphthalene, cancerous 'yan. Next meeting, discuss ko bakit siya cancerous. Okay? So yan, again, kapag nagluluto, wag nyo na kainin yung sunog kasi it is cancerous. No? Yung mga benzene ring yan, especially yung mga benzoapyrene, pwede siya dumaloy sa bloodstream nyo when it deposits in the colon. Dadalo yan sa bloodstream and pwede yung pumasok sa cell ng tao. Okay? And then once it is inside the cell, it can do some damage. No? Next meeting, I will discuss bakit. Okay? Basta ang idea, kapag nagsasangyup, huwag kakainin yung tostado. Kasi cancerous yan. Alam niyo naman kung sino yung mga known personality that died of colon cancer. one of which is Cory Aquino, namatay siya sa colon cancer. Okay. I'm not sure kung legit yung info na mahilig siya talaga sa sa barbecue, pero ayan. I'm not sure kung legit source yan kasi dati pa siya namatay, 2008 pa ata, bata pa ako. Basta yun lang yung idea. Pag mahilig grilled food, no? Especially mga barbecue, sangyup, wag kainin sunog. Okay lang yung laman, basta wag yung sunog. Okay? So, yan. So, phenols, okay, this is another type of hydrocarbon. Katulad nga ng nakita natin, siya ay benzene ring na may OH. Okay? And apparently, maraming phenolic compounds in nature. Okay? So, maraming phenolic compounds in nature. Okay? So, yan. So, by the way, these are some of the common phenol compounds. We have the phenol itself, the hydroquinone. So, this is just a benzene with two OHs. Common name yan. Okay? Then we have the catechol. Okay? And then we have the resorcinol. And then we have the metacresol. Okay? So, saan uli nakikita yung mga phenol? Usually, they are found in nature. Sila yung nagkukos ng pigments. Okay? Sa plants. Not only pigments, but also smell. Okay? For example, the thymol in thyme, di ba? Pag nagluluto kayo, nilalagyan nyo neto. I don't like the smell, pero ang daming may gusto dyan. So, yung amoy niyan, that is given off by this molecule. And as you can see, the parent chain here is the phenol. Sa vanilla, masarap yun. Okay? I think lahat naman tayo mag-agree because the parent chain here is phenol. Okay? We have this mali pronunciation ko na ito dati. Paano ko ba ipopronounce yan? Ang basa ko kasi dati yan, capsaicin. Tignan ko lang yung pronunciation. Tama nga, capsaicin. Capsaicin nga. So, capsaicin, tama pala ako. Pala ko mali ako. So, yan, as you can see, this is the molecule of capsaicin. This is the one that causes inflammation. Lalo na kapag mga spicy food yan. So, kapag maanghang, normally it contains this capsaicin. Ito, as you can see, the parent chain here is the phenol. Okay? And then you have the urushiol. Yung urushiol, ito yung mga nasa plants, no? Such as poison ivy, oak, sumac, etc. I'm not sure kung saan niya ginagamit yan, okay? But those are some of the compounds in nature that contains phenol, okay? So yan lang. So phenols are abundant in nature. Sometimes they give off color, no? Sometimes they give off pleasant smell, okay? So yan. And yung phenols, medyo okay to sa body. Kasi sabi ko nga, yung benzene, basta may substituent, medyo safe na yan. Pero yung kapag benzene, wala siyang substituent, like this polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbon, dangerous yan. Okay? So, pag may substituent, okay yan. Pero kapag wala, dangerous, cancerous. So, yan. Okay? So, most of the plant extracts na yung mga ginagamit sa mga supplement like MX3, maraming mga ganito yan, no? Maraming mga phenol, no? Yan, kasi they are apparently helpful in removing oxidants in the body. That's why we call it antioxidant, okay? Anyway, that reaction will be discussed further next meeting. So, before we end our session, let us just work into some of these examples here. Pangalanan natin sila. Then after that, dismiss na tayo. Next meeting na lang for the reactions. Okay? So that is to give you more time to practice with this nomenclature. Okay? Sige. So I might need help. So kung sino yung gusto magsagot, mag-chat lang kayo sa chat box, but I will proceed with the explanation lang. Okay? So we have several compounds here. Okay? We have several compounds here. Let's try to name them. Keep thinking of the common names, okay, of our benzene derivatives. Kailangan kabisado yung common names of the benzene derivative. Okay? And of course, the priority. And just as I said, OH will be given the highest priority. Okay? Anyway, start tayo. Kung may sagot kayo sa number 1, paki-type na sa chat box. Okay? But I will proceed with my typical flow. So, we have here a benzene ring with 2 substituents. You have the OH and the NH2. So, apparently, those substituents can give us 2 common names. You have here your aniline yan, and you have here your phenol. And just as I said, the phenol will be given the highest priority. So ano name nito? Ano name niya kung phenol ang highest priority? Sige, anyone in the chat box? Sige, may nakita ko nagta-type. Sige, si Richard. Huwag kayong magpatalo kay Richard. Type din kayo. Ano kaya yung name ng compound if phenol yung parent chain? Sige. Madali lang yung nomenclature, no? Basta may kabisaduhin ka lang talaga. Sige. Now, you can use ortho meta para mas madali. Wala. Sige, bibigay ko na yung name. The name of this compound is... Siyempre, sulat mo muna yung parent name. And you have your amino substituent at the second carbon. So this can be named as 2-aminophenol. You can name it as 2-aminophenol. Ano pa yung pwedeng name dyan? Since ang substituents ay nasa carbon 1 and 2, you can name it as ortho-aminophenol. Okay? So yan. Madaming version ng names. Okay? So yan. Pwedeng ortho-aminophenol, pwede rin naman 2-aminophenol. Okay? Number 2. Number 2. Do you have any common names? Meron ba o wala? May common name ba or wala? Wala, 'di ba? So we don't have any common names for this. Wala tayong common name for this one. Wala tayong common name for this one. Ano gagawin ko? Pag ganun, you cannot find any common names, then use the word benzene lang. Yan na yung parent name mo, benzene. Wala kang common name So benzene na lang. Now the problem is, sino yung bibigyan mo ng first priority? Sino sa mga substituent yung bibigyan mo ng first priority? Just like our cyclo-compounds, cycloalkanes, kung sino yung first alphabetically, siya yung bibigyan ng number 1. Sino yung mauna? The bromine or the chlorine? Alphabetic lang yan. Bromo, chloro. Siyempre, letter B muna bago letter C. So, the bromo will be given number 1, tapos 2, 3. So, 3 si chloro. If you do it this way, counterclockwise, ang magiging substituent ni chloro ay 5. But if you do it clockwise, the substituent of chloro is 3. So, which is better? Ito yung lower, no? Yung clockwise. Kasi 3 is lower than 5. So, we will use the clockwise counting. So, the name of the compound will be 1-bromo, 3-chloro, benzene. Okay? Ano pa yung pwedeng name niya? Ano pa? We can use the ortho meta para. Okay? Again, pag dalawa substituent, pwedeng gamitin yung ortho meta para. Since our substituents are in carbon 1 and 3, you call it meta. Okay. You call it meta. It's bromo, chloro, benzene. You don't need to indicate the numbers anymore. You don't need to indicate the locant. Kasi the fact that you said meta, ibig sabihin no, nasa carbon 1 and 3, yung bromo pati chloro. Okay? So, yun. No? So, kung ayaw mo ng number, edi just use the meta. Okay? So, yan. Meta, bromo, chloro, benzene. Or, 1 bromo, 3 chloro, benzene. O, third one. O, kayo naman. O, third one. Sino yung parent name ko? Sige. Sino yung parent name? Is this one? This one? Or this one? Ibigay niyo yung name. Sabi ni Richard, benzoic acid. Yes, it is correct. Okay? So, the parent name will be your benzoic acid. Kasi you don't have a name for this thing. Wala tayong pangalan dyan, di ba? Wala tayong pangalan din dito. So, the benzoic acid is the name. Okay? So, that's correct. Pangalanan mo na ngayon yung iba. Okay? Ano yung pangalan nito? Again, pag NO2, that's nitro. Pag Cl lang, that's chloro. Okay? And then identify the numbers. No? Start from here. You always start where the parent substituent is located. No? So, carbon number 1 siya. And then count ka. Clockwise, counterclockwise. The correct answer should be clockwise. Kasi kapag nag-clockwise ka, yung substituent ay number 3 yung kanyang number. If you do it counterclockwise, ang substituent ay 4 ang number. So, doon ka sa 3 kasi mas mababa yung 3 kaysa sa 4. Diba? So, just like your alkanes. Okay. So, so the nitro is in the 3rd carbon. The chloro is in the 4th carbon. So, ibig sabihin yan, we can now assemble the name. Okay? So, which will come first? Is it the chloro or the nitro? O, alphabetical na to. So, unahin mo yung chloro kasi C yan eh. Followed by the nitro kasi letter N. So, this will now be called 4 chloro 3 nitro benzoic acid. Okay? Do you have any clarification? Kasi kung wala, kayo yung magsasagot na. I will give you siguro 5 minutes to answer this, and this. So, I'll give you 5 minutes to answer this. Type nyo na lang sa chat box yung answer nyo. Sana may mag-participate para makakain na tayo. Nagugutom na rin ako. So, yan. I hope you will participate. So, sagutan nyo. 4, 5, 6. Again, always focus kung sino yung pwede maging parent. If yung substituent, pare-parehas lang, use the benzene na lang as the parent. Okay? So, alam nyo na kung anong item pinapatukuyan ko dyan. Kapag pare-parehas yung substituent, wag nyo na sa pangalanan based on the parent name. Just use the word benzene na lang. Okay? So, yan. I'll give you 5 minutes. So, exactly 12. Mabalik tayo. Then, we'll answer everything. After that, dismiss na tayo. Next meeting na lang ulit. Okay? Sige. 5 minutes. Type nyo sa chat box yung answer, ha? So, lagay nyo 4, 5, and 6. Oh, kamusta na? Ano yung mga pangalan ng molecules na nakuha niya? Nagsagot ba? Baka mamaya hindi eh. So, ano yung mga kasagutan niyo sa pangalan nila? So, okay, so start tayo. Sige, while typing the answers. Okay, so while typing the answers, I will show you bakit yan yung name niya. Okay, so for number 4, sabi ni Richard, that's para methoxyaniline. And that's correct. Okay, so tama yun. Okay, bakit? Okay, sabi natin, this one is called aniline. This one is called anisole. But again, sabi ko nga, technique lang to. Kung sino yung may CH3, siya yung lower priority. So, this is your higher priority. So, that means the name is aniline. Okay. Tama ba spelling ko? Ayan, that's aniline. Okay. And this is methoxy na yung tawag sa kanya. Okay. So, that is methoxy aniline. The position of your NH2 and your OCH3 are on carbon 1 and 4. So, pwede ka gumamit ng para. Okay? Para methoxy aniline. O, pwede rin naman 4 methoxy aniline. Okay? Next one, we have this thing, 5. Anong pangalan nito number 5? Ang pangalan ng number 5 ay? So, ano pangalan ng number 5 natin? So, ano pangalan ng number 5? So, syempre, yung phenol, hindi yan yung parent name mo. Kasi puro OH yan eh. Diba sabi ko nga, pag iisa lang yung substituent, wag mo na gamitin yung common name. No? Ginawa natin yan earlier eh. So, such as here. No? So, iisa yung parent name niya. Puro toluene. So, wag mo na gamitin yan. Okay? Benzene na lang. Okay? Pag iisa lang. So, the correct name for this one should be 1, 2, 3 trihydroxy benzene. Okay. Siguro sa practice quiz, ganito yung mga exercise natin. No? You will be given a molecule, alamin mo yung parent, and then, of course, the corresponding name. Okay? So, yun. So, 1, 2, 3 trihydroxy benzene. And last one, number 6. Ano hula niya? Ano hula? 6, sabi ni Richard, 5-bromo, 2-fluoro-benzaldehyde. Okay, so yeah, benzaldehyde yung parent natin. Kasi wala tayong name for this thing. Wala tayong pangalan dyan. Dito, we don't have a common name. Ito meron, benzaldehyde. Yes. That's benzaldehyde. Okay, benzaldehyde. Tapos, ito fluoro, bromo, numbering na lang yan. So, start ka dito. So, ako magka-clockwise ako kasi pag clockwise, 2 agad to. If you do it counterclockwise, 3 pa yung substituent mo. So, obviously, 2 is lower than 3, so I will choose this one, the clockwise rotation. So, si bromo nasa 5, si fluoro nasa 2. So, alphabetical na lang. So, una muna si bromo. Sunod si fluoro. Okay? So, 5 bromo, 2 fluoro, benzaldehyde. Okay? So, basically, that's the nomenclature for that's your nomenclature for your benzene derivatives. No? So, you just have to remember the common names. And once you recognize the common names, then you just name the substituents as is. No? Very simple lang. Okay? So yan, tapos na tayo sa ating session today. So this is basically the nomenclature. For monosubstituted benzene, you have the common names. You have to memorize them. You have their toluene, styrene, phenol, anisole, benzoic acid, aniline, and benzaldehyde. Memorize them. If you have, if hindi ganyan yung itsura ng inyong benzene ring, then you can call it a phenyl. Okay? Phenyl na lang siya. Kunwari, this does not resemble any of what we had earlier. So, you will call the benzene as phenyl. Okay? Hindi na siya yung parent pag ganun. Kunwari, ito, this does not resemble any of the molecules we shown earlier. So, phenyl tawag mo dyan. Okay? If dalawa naman yung substituent na benzene mo, then you can use the ortho meta para. Ortho meaning yung substituent nasa 1,2. Meta, ibig sabihin substituent ay nasa 1,3. And para, ang substituent ay nasa 1,4. Ang pag-name dito is that you should be able to recognize the common name. Okay? Kailangan may makita kang common name. Pag wala, edi use the benzene. Okay? Benzene na lang yung gamitin mong parent. Pero kapag may makita kang common name, yun yung gamitin mo. And of course, keep in mind the priority. OH parate yung highest priority. Pag may CH3, usually lower yon. Okay? So as given by our examples earlier. Pag more than 2 yung substituents mo, 3 or more, ganun pa rin, no? Alamin mo yung yung parent, yung may common, then number your locants, then assemble the name, just like what you did sa hydrocarbons. Okay, then we have the polynuclear aromatic compounds. Just memorize their names na lang din. Naphthalene, ito yung nasa mothball, anthracene, phenanthrene, benzoapyrene, and pyrene. Okay, so yan. Sa nakikita sila, naphthalene nasa mothball, benzoapyrene nasa charred part ng karne. Okay? Huwag nyo kakainin yung sunog kasi pwede kayong magka-cancer. Okay? And then the phenol, apparently it's very abundant in nature. Okay? And as you can see here, in-emphasize ko na the phenol is indeed the highest priority sa mga benzene compounds. And dito nag-naming tayo. Okay? So that will be all for our session today. Next meeting we will discuss the reactions. But as early as now, check nyo na yung PowerPoint ng reactions kasi maraming ganap dyan. Hindi na naman tayo magme-mechanism. Don't worry. Wala na tayong araw-araw. Okay? Kasi alam ko na i-stress na kayo dun sa araw-araw mechanism. So basically, ang reactions natin starting this chapter, pababa, just memorize what will happen. Okay? So, I highly suggest you to create an index card highlighting the different reactions and yung products. Okay? So, yan. So yan, that will be all for our session and I hope you learned something. Okay, just let me know kapag may concern, and again, do not forget to answer the bonus questions na given sa lab kasi 3 points yun which will be added to your quiz score. Okay, in case na sumobra yung total score mo pag in-add yung bonus point, that will be transferred to the other quizzes. Okay? Pag sumobra pa rin, edi hayaan mo na siya sumobra. Okay? So that will be all. Thank you for attending the session today. Sana may natutunan, and as always, ingat pa rin kahit pwede na lumabas na. So ingat, and I'll see you again this Thursday for the reactions. Bye-bye and ingat. Bye-bye. Kain ng lunch.